Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weissoon. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend, Luke Clayton, and his guest for the next hour.
This is David Fox, and welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramyd Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smokin Tex electric smokers. Feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Well, thank you guys for that nice introduction, and Mr. Weissoon is coming to us from way down in San Antonio, or way down from where I'm at the Texas Wildlife Association Convention. Larry, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Luke, and welcome indeed to the and from the, I guess, both instances, the Texas Wildlife Association's 40th annual convention. We started that thing, Gary Machen, Murphy Ray, and I, back in 1985. And I'll tell you what, things are absolutely going fantastic here. And last night was really good, and lots of great people here. And of course, on the 12th, if people are listening to this, not on our podcast side of things, but if they're listening to it live, they can still have an opportunity to bid on some unbelievable hunting auction items and fishing items and outdoor adventures at the grand auction that'll take place the night of the 12th. And they can do that by going to onlinehuntingauctions.com, look up Texas Wildlife Association, and sign up there. And one of the great things about this event is that so often we have hunts and fishing trips that are not available to the public, and the only way they can get onto some of these places is through our members, who are very gracious in terms of donating. So that's going on right now, and it'll be going on Saturday night. The convention's going on there at the JW Marriott, or here at the JW Marriott in the northern part of San Antonio, and absolutely great attendance, fabulous people. And for those folks who are not here, I hope you're going to be here for the 41st next year, kind of thing. So, but in saying all that, we need to also mention DSC, because Conservation, Education, Advocacy, and DSC's summer show is next weekend at the Gaylord Texan there in Dallas. And we'll have that Saturday night on the 19th, our DSC Foundation auction, which again, unbelievable in that too, if you can attend. And you don't have to be a member to attend the DSC events, but you can also go to onlinehuntingauctions.com and look up DSC and the DSC Foundation. So got all those great things going on, and Stealth Vision is going to be there. VINEYARDMAX has been very gracious with helping a lot of things with TWA, and so has Taurus and Mossberg, and of course Hornady is always there and present and doing things for us, helping with wildlife conservation as well too. So get a chance to come on out today and spend some time at TWA. And not, we'll see everybody next weekend at the DSC Foundation. With all that said, Luke, there's a lot of folks that are buying hunts at this thing, talking to landowners, talking to, gotten onto some new leases. And I know there's a lot of action going on right now. People buying, new feeders from VINEYARDMAX and getting VINEYARDMAX starting to put out as people are starting thinking about deer hunting, which is not that far away.
You bet. It's the time of the year when people are relocating, changing to new deer leases. And I know the friends with, you mentioned VINEYARDMAX, Paul Moore and the whole family there. It's kind of interesting, and I've made me happy that another good friend up on the Red River there, near Nakona, that I've known for many years, had some land to lease, and Paul and them are moving up. I think just a couple of weeks ago, they were relocating all their hunting blinds, and they're hooking water wells up and setting up feeders and everything that people do on a new deer lease. But, people are doing that all over the state. It's the time of year when people are kind of like moving, and people do. They change for one reason or another. They change from one deer lease to another. for various reasons, but it's that time of year, Larry, and people are all fired up, and it's only about 3 months, honestly. Less than that until October, and now
you're exactly.
That's when the excuse me, Larry. That's when the hunting starts nowadays for deer in October. On so many ranches.
It does. Of course, you have archery season, and then a lot of people are on MLD, kind of the managed land permit thing that we have here in Texas. And I need to thank you as well, too, because you were the one who put me on to the place up at Nocona, and then I got in touch with Paul and those guys, and actually I'm on that lease as well,
too.
So
that's right.
I am really looking forward to it. It backs up against the Red River, and my goal, it's a one buck county in Montague County, and my goal is to sit on the Texas side of the Red River, and hopefully rattle a buck out of Oklahoma that crosses the river, comes into Texas, and I'm able to take it there. So that's going to be kind of one of my goals for this fall. But I'm going to spend a little bit of time there. That area produces some really nice kind of deer. And of course, too, we need to take a lot of does off that property this year. So what doe tags I have that are not MLD tags, I'll pick up later for does. Probably going to try to shoot a couple of does there because those deer are a little bit bigger, and I know they taste good. So I'm anxious to get up there and get started on that hunt as well, too.
Yeah, you bet. And another great long-term friend of mine is Don Gresham up near Forestburg, which is only about 30, 40 minutes from there, I would imagine. Not far. It's a little southwest, I guess, from Nocona. But Don graciously invited me for many years to come up and hunt with him, and I never did, but we put together a little fun deal, you and I and Jeff Rice. Folks, Larry and Jeff and I are going to get to hunt with Don. We took a couple of those, actually those VINEYARDMAX feeders, and took those up there, with Paul Moore met us up there, and we're kind of moving a little, like the animals. We're migrating now. We're migrating a little farther north, up toward that Red River. But that's Montague County, and it's some big old deer. I've honestly never hunted deer at Matt's place or with Don up in that part of the country. But I have had friends, and of course these guys, I've seen deer that they've taken, and Don did tell me he's got some pictures of some bucks that are sprouting out looking really good right now. And so the nice camp house, Don invited us to stay in this nice camp house and come by, and I'm really looking forward to that also. That'll be a lot of fun. But like you and I, Larry, people listening all over up in the Panhandle and East Texas and all over the state, I know they're getting fired up too, about it's not long. It's time to get ready, isn't it?
It is time to get ready. And of course, now's a great time too. I'm going to be hunting with a crossbow this year a little bit, particularly on a black bear hunt on the Choctaw Nation, or the Choctaw hunting lodge, rather, in the first week of October. And so I'm really looking forward to that. But now, where I was going with all that, if you got a new crossbow, got a new rifle, if you're looking at buying a new rifle, this is a great time to do it. The Mossberg produces their guns here in Texas down at Eagle Pass. So they're a Texas-based company when you get down to that fact. And then Stealth Vision, best optics in the world, and of course Hornet is, I mentioned earlier. Now is a great time to, if you're going to get a new gun or switch scopes or try a different ammunition, right now is a great time to do that, to learn the capabilities of what that firearm is, or bow or crossbow or muzzleloader or air rifle such as you shoot. Find out the capabilities and your capabilities with it, so that when the fall gets here, my gosh, you'll be ready to go, and you'll be properly sighted in, and you'll know exactly where that bolt, arrow, whatever plug, bullet, whatever it is you're shooting is going to hit at that particular range.
That's right. And I've long time, for about 15 years, all I did was hunt with a bow. I've told, Larry, a compound bow. And, needless to say, if you're going to hunt anything and use an arrow as a projectile, you better practice. It's just, and rifle too, of course, but shooting arrows, even through a crossbow, it's a lot easier to get proficient with a crossbow. It is. than a compound bow, because it's much like a rifle up close in a way, scope on it, and all that.
Oh yeah.
But practice. That's so key to, if we're going to be hunting. It's fun to do it. I love that's the thing about archery. You can get a good target. I've got one called a block that will stop a crossbow bolt, an arrow. But
right.
It's fun. You can do that. Most people got a little spot. If not in their backyard, they can go to someplace around and practice with that. Where I'm kind of lucky here, Larry, because I've got Kenneth Shepard right down the road, and he's a serious shooter. Kenneth is, and he's got a range set up down there. So about a mile from my house, I go down there and shoot. I tell you what I'm doing, something that's new. As outdoor riders, you and I both, and anybody that's involved as an outdoor rider, you have to try. I mean, you don't have to, but we try different things to report on, to give, to let our people that read what we do or listen to what we talk about, to let them know what we're trying. I've done that with other riders. Learned a lot by reading stuff,
right.
Reports or whatever. But ATN is a thermal company in the United States, U.S. based, that's been around a long time. There's a lot of startup thermal scope monocular companies, but ATN sent me a Thor rifle thermal scope. It's the LTV model 320, and that thing I've took it down to Kenneth, and I'm about to go hog hunting with it this week. But honestly, the controls, some of the thermal scopes, and you've used one of them that I have, that it can be very, very, at night, very difficult to maneuver.
Yes.
They can, and even if you use them all the time, you have to be almost like a raccoon and feel around on the top of it. Really, I'm serious.
You do, yes, sir.
The ATN, I want to show you this scope, but the operation of it is very simple. If you want to change from black hot to white hot, you just press a button on top of the scope. If you want to increase magnification, you press a button on top. You don't have to go into a menu to do all that kind of stuff. If you want to record, you press a button on top. There's a up and down, right and left toggles up on top. So simple. I want to show it to you though, but I'm going to take it down to Jeff's this week, and we're going to try to film this. You can use the thermal scopes during the daylight also, and
right.
and try to get that on film and highlight that ATN. But so far, I mean, we've got it. It's all sighted in and ready to go. Kind of excited about something new, trying a new product for me. So far, I'm very, very impressed. I'll be honest with you.
I tell you what, from what you told me about that thing, I can't wait to try it. And that I really have a chance to look through it. We've got some stuff coming up a little bit later in August where we got to go do some spotlight surveys and things like that on the cotton. And maybe after we finish the spotlight surveys, we can make a run around and put out some VINEYARDMAX, maybe see for some hogs there, or if nothing else, just have a look at some of the deer maybe that's coming in, kind of thing. And the beauty of it is you can record, as you mentioned. So that sound like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a great scope to use.
Yeah, it is, Larry. Well, we're about out of time. I hope it's a great convention there. I know it will be, and probably I know you guys have been having. I can't make it down there, but I know y'all are having a good time, and tonight's the auction, and that'll be a lot of fun and a lot of good, I would call them prizes, but I guess that would be the right term. A lot of good hunts and things that people will be bidding on, right?
Yes, there are. There's some unbelievable, again, people that can't be there. If that auction takes place on the 12th. So if you hear this later, it's no good, but you can go to onlinehuntingauctions.com and go to Texas Wildlife Association and bid on some of these hunts and some special guns. There's a special gun there that I'm donating called the Founder's Rifle that'll be up for grabs tonight. And then, too, just want to invite everybody, and we'll talk about this. I'll be at the DSC, a summer show, and waiting the DSC Foundation Gala next Saturday. So to learn more about that, they can go to biggame.org and look forward to seeing people that are not here today at Texas Wildlife to see them there next week.
Folks, I want to introduce you to VINEYARDMAX. Now, this is an awesome deer attractant, a food attractant that's made with hammer-milled grape skin, dried hammer-milled grape skins. It has a mixture of rice bran and also corn chops. Very effective. Deer can smell the scent of grapes from a long way, and it brings them in. I've used it in West Texas out with Larry Weissoon, and we were out there where deer are not even exposed to grapes, and they came right in. Also, VINEYARDMAX has a very good line of game and fish feeders. Check them out online, vineyardmax.net. Friends, I want to tell you about an awesome camping destination, Wind Point Park on Lake Tawakoni. It's over on the far east side, kind of the northeast side of the lake. It's a pristine park. You can go there and view, I think they estimated a couple of hundred deer on that couple of hundred acres there. Cabins, beautiful RV park, fishing piers, docks. It's got everything you'd want in an outdoor destination. Check them out online at windpointparktx.com. Well, friends, Mr. Larry Weissoon is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Luke, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is leveled because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
Folks, this segment is made possible by Smokin Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long, long time, CatfishPro, catfishing baits, and catfish supplies, Ultrimatic Feeders. I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw. Well, folks, we have covered some hunting and outdoor talk with Mr. Larry Weissoon like we've been doing for 18 years. Now it's time to shift to a little fishing talk. Let's go up to Lake Texom. Bill was with us last week. I just, about a week or 10 days ago, I was fishing up there. Larry was with us too, and Jeff Rice, to do a newspaper article and to film a striper show for the summer with Striper Express, Bill Carey on Lake Texoma. But I'd like Bill to kind of tell us what's going on now. Bill, thank you, buddy, for spending some time with us today.
Well, good morning, Luke, and all y'all out in radio land.
I want to know, is Captain Call, the crow, our pet crow, I hope he shows up to say hello to everybody today. But
he's been at it all morning. He always knows when we're going to talk, I think.
Well, if he chimes in, hopefully he'll come by to say hello to everyone. But thanks for a good trip. And I want to paint the picture, or have you paint the picture, of what's really going on at Lake Texoma, and I'll make it quick. It's pretty much everybody knows that likes to fish Texoma that a month or so back it was like muddy. The lure fishing was tough. When we fished with you, the lure fishing was just kicking off. It wasn't gangbusters, and you told me a week or two, the water's going to continue to clear up, and then the normal summer pattern of all that schooling action from Eisenhower down toward the dam all the way up those bluffs, and all those schools of stripers are going to be madly chasing shad. Well,
you bet.
that was like we were on the cusp of that when we went to film the show,
That's right.
and did my newspaper article. But now things are stabilized. Describe what the summer pattern is at Texoma for stripers, Bill.
All right. we joke about it. Too hot to fish, not the way we do it. So we board and depart the earliest we go all year at 5:30 a.m. It is an early morning bite. So we'll run 10 miles minimum, maybe 20 to the dam to find the early morning surfacing action. This is the summertime legendary. They push the bait to the surface and splash, and you throw big plugs on them. You get an hour and a half of that. And then they sound, and they'll stay grouped up in large schools and running that shad, and we rip slabs. Those are lead spoons. We drop them over the side and keep your thumb near the spool on the fall. And then when it hits the bottom, rip them up and just hold on, because they'll just about take it out of your hands. You'll get hour and a half of that, and then you'll be catching, and then you won't. What's going on is they are done for the morning. And when it's unanimous, get some wind in your face. You could be up 20 miles away from the harbor and get back to the marina, lay them out, take pictures, have your guy clean your catch, shake hands, and go find some air. You won't know it's warm till you hit land, and it's warming up fast. And that is mission accomplished by about 11 o'clock every morning.
That's it. And Bill, it's so easy to be in an air-conditioned office or a house or wherever you're at and think, oh, man, yeah, we'll get out there and fish middle of the day or something. It's a whole, no, what Bill just said, folks, makes so much sense in the real world of fishing. We were out there, we were back, and this was before this steady pattern had began for the summer. We were using some live bait, and the artificial thing was just starting. But yeah, I mean, we even at that point we were back by a few hours, and we had a box full of fish. So, and it's so much fun. I wrote a newspaper article the first time about this pattern, and I think you and I called it leapfrogging. Because you'll be there, and you'll be in the middle of a huge school of stripers, and you'll catch them like crazy for a few minutes, and then they sound. And they're moving on. They're moving, chasing bait, aren't they? Oh, yeah. And so then we hopscotch on down, and you'll be. Tell our folks, of course, you guys know where to hopscotch to, but some tips. You can't expect a bunch of surface frothing going on. You'll see some surface action, though, won't you?
Well, the best polite way to do it is let the fish come to you. Let them pass you. Folks, these schools can be so long sometimes it's hard to believe. They could be a half a mile long. But whatever school you're in, let them pass you, and then crank up your motor and go wide. Go around the school, get in front of them, and have them come to you. Don't just start your motor and plow right the way they're going because that can bust it up. And that will keep the bite going. And like I said, another hour and a half of that, you'll be catching, then you won't. So you've mission accomplished. Normally we get it done and we're back and clean before it's hot.
That's the whole key right there. And then when you get back to the dock and your guide there will fillet your fish for you. I mean, they're perfectly trimmed. The notorious red meat that people talk about, it's removed with the simple method of just pulling it out the way the guides do it nowadays. Used to, the way I still do it is cut a V out of it, but they can rip that out of there, and snow white fillets ready for some sweet basil and garlic powder and a little onion powder and lemon, and you've got some of the best eating around. Bill, that's pretty much it. I think we probably that information will help some people. Now that pattern that's underway, I mean, it lasts a while in the summer, doesn't it? Early morning bite,
Yes, sir. Early morning. It's too hot now for the bait. That was the end of it. We got 90-degree water, so the bait won't stay alive, but you get this artificial bite going on. It's a lot of fun. And then in about mid-August, they'll start running up the ledges, and then we'll be bumping slabs on the ledges and on the flats, and we'll talk about that in August.
Yeah, but right now, and people think, wait a minute, 5:30, that's early to leave. You'll be thankful that you're out there at the break of day, because it's you almost want some sleeves on and early in the morning. It's hard to imagine, but it's zipping across the water. It's kind of cool, feels good, but lodging is something that people are listening everywhere on our awesome radio stations. That run our show each week, but also a podcast after the stations run it, it becomes, Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and friends. So people are listening all over, and they're probably thinking, gosh, 5:30 in the morning, that's awful early. But the bottom line is, well, when we were there, we were at a lodging is right there by the marina, and comfortable, and that's the way to do it. Unless you live close enough to get there at 5:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah, I've been talking to people, for the last few days going, it's a good idea to come in here. I've got some bare bones motel units. They're just a good place to lay your head down and be here the next morning. And then if you got family, we've got great lakefront cabins. And if you want to do a couple of days, we've got just about anything you need. Or we can refer you even to the motels out on the highway. But yes, it's a good idea to be here the night before. You're going out early and you're getting it done early.
It is. Of course, our crew, Larry Weissoon, who's with us every week, and Jeff Rice was there, and we filmed a show that you can watch now on YouTube. It's called The Sportsman's Life, or Carbon TV. But I'm as you call me, old camp cook. But I think about the next morning. You're going to be a little sleepy. You probably stayed up a little later, shooting the breeze, excited about fishing. And so I went ahead and cooked some, I had some breakfast tacos I made at home and wrapped them in foil. And, you had one. You ate one.
Oh, yeah.
And with some good venison and wild pork. Kuby's made that with some spicy breakfast sausage. Have all that ready, and a lot of it is planning. Otherwise, you're going to wake up in the morning, and you're not going to want to get up 2 hours early and cook a big breakfast. Think ahead. This is some real world stuff, I think. And maybe you're the type that can just eat a Twinkie with a cup of coffee and ready to go, whatever. But I always like to think ahead and make sure there's some coffee one way or another, and then a little breakfast, and then I like to make, of course, this is nothing all your clients would have to do, but I like to make several breakfast tacos or whatever to take out on the boat, because trust me, that guide after this guiding is kind of hard work, and they always enjoy a good taco or something like that when you get out there.
And we all know how good food is in the outdoors, and Luke makes these breakfast tacos, mercy, folks. You talk about good. And he showed a little trick that I do. He browns the flour tortilla, and that's the ticket. Like he said, it's not gummy that way.
Yeah, I appreciated that compliment. We were all out there and munching away on those breakfast tacos, and you pointed to one of them and see those little black, dark, you could tell that thing had been exposed to a hot cast iron skillet. I said, "Oh yeah, Bill, we the code to live by is never microwave a flour tortilla." My gosh.
Right.
I mean, that's almost sacrilegious, Well, Bill, thanks for the update. StriperExpress.com is how people find you on Facebook, and you're about everywhere. Folks, they've been in Striper Express, been going for 42 years that I know of.
Yes,
and
sir.
All are easy to track down and well organized. Is a good spot to go, and it's a good outing, family outing, or just some old buddies get together like we did. Captain Call, he didn't show. That's our pet crow that usually shows up, but we'll catch you. We'll make sure and get him in the next show. Bill, thank you, buddy, for being with us, and hope to see you soon. Maybe get up there and jerk some of those on slabs and get on that summer pattern,
Yeah, let's do that next week. Anytime, we'll get some topwater action and slab and send you home with some good eating fish.
Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smokin Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smokin Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at SmokinTex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. For seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's ButcherPackerSupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com.
I want to tell you about a one-stop shop for everything related to game feeders and fish feeders, Ultrimatic Feeders. I've been using components and feeders from Ultrimatic Feeders for 20-something years, I guess. They have the remote, which you can remotely activate your feeder with, the timer, which is the most simple timer that I've ever found on a game feeder. And then the eliminator. Check these out. They are worked on actually on centrifugal force, and they seal off the corn supply so coons and squirrels can't get to the corn. Check them out. Ultrimatic Feeders, you could go online to ultrimaticfeeders.com.
Way up north to Alaska, way up north to Alaska, north to Alaska, go north for Russia's home. North to Alaska, go north for Russia's home. Big Sam left Seattle.
Friends, this segment is made possible by Platinum Cadillac and Chevrolet in Terrell, Texas. Stop by and visit with my buddy, Mr. Justin Rudd, and his team of experts, and let them put you in a new Chevy pickup or a Cadillac or whatever you might be in the market for. Also, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma. Check them out at ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Also made possible by Pyramyd Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Well, welcome, Mr. Omar Carter, with Luck of the Irish, to our show. I want to spend some time having some fun with you this morning, talking about downrigging for stripers. How about that? Are you ready for
That'll work. I'm ready for that, man. I absolutely love fishing that way.
I do, too. And, you know, Omar, I haven't done that in years, but there was a gentleman named Jim Snodgrass years ago. We've talked about him down at Lake Whitney, and that's really that was his specialty, and that was before the modern sonars that we have now. Where you can know exactly how deep and exactly where that fish is.
I mean,
yeah,
it's amazing the technology. I have just your standard downriggers because I don't see spending $3,000 to $4,000 on some of them they have nowadays, but they are amazing because the electric ones now, the Canons downriggers, you can hook them to your sonar and it will automatically raise and lower your downriggers for you so you don't get stuck in structure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're truly amazing pieces of equipment these days. But you know, you don't have to have that. I've got the Bass Pro ones that are a 1.5 gear ratio. So every time you crank the handle, you're bringing it up 1.5 feet.
Right.
And honestly, with the lakes that I fish, when that thermocline sets up, I don't usually have to set them much more deeper than 18 feet. You know?
Yep.
Because I use this other thing that a lot of people don't realize. You have to calculate the swing of the weight depending on how heavy it is as to how much that actually comes up due to the speed of the boat. I use 10-pound weights because there's very little swing. So if I set it at 18 feet, the bait might actually be up at 17 feet. So there's only about a foot difference.
See.
You know, you and I both know if stroppers are in a feeding mood, 1.5 feet or a foot, it's not going to make a difference. They're going to smack it. But there's a lot that goes into that. You want to make sure you're looking at your graph, you're seeing how deep you're marking the fish, and you just want to get it right at the top of the school. Say the top of the school is at 18 feet. You want that bait running at about 16.5 feet. So you're right above that school. And you want to make it easy for them to come out of the school and smack that bait.
And to come up.
Right.
You know,
because fish, their eyes are on top of their heads, so they always feed up.
Exactly. Well, folks, I have a trip planned with Omar, and Omar he guides a lot at Grapevine, but right now there's some big schools, some big stripers and hybrids, I believe, Omar, out at Lake Tawakoni.
There's some really nice fish, and they're a lot of fun to catch this way. You know, you have to. One thing I do is every year I get new clips that go on a downrigger that hold the line in place to your rod and reel. And those clips are really important because if they're old and worn out, they won't release the line like they should. And so you've got to have good fresh rubber on there because the line pinches into that clip that's attached to the ball on the downrigger. And when the fish hits it, it pulls it out of that clip, and that's when you get the fish on. And a lot of people ask, why do you reel the rod down so tight to the ball on the downrigger, that the rod that's sitting in the boat? Well, it's because the tighter that is, the less slack in the line, the quicker and the better the hook set will be when the fish hits the bait.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because if you've got any, well, you know, stripers, you've caught dozens, hundreds of them probably. You got any slack in your line, they're gone.
That's right.
That's it. You know, they can throw that hook quicker than a largemouth, I swear. But there's a lot that goes into it. But I love teaching people. I've had several people that have come out on the boat, and I've taught them how to use their downriggers, and they go out and they're pretty successful with it too. But it takes some practice, but you'll get good at it if you practice it. And this time of year, you know, with that thermocline set up, it's been set up probably for about 2 weeks now. It gets set up, and man, it is just so productive because, again, stripers, hybrids, whatever, they pattern their food, and they get very specific on the size food and the way the food is moving.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when you have a thermocline, it acts just like a second bottom because the bait can't go below it because they won't survive. There's no oxygen. So they're looking for bait that is moving horizontally, not up and down vertically, not just sitting there, because it's like a firefight. If you're sitting still, you're dead. You're eating. You know,
Mm-hmm.
That's the way the shad's going to happen to the shad. So they're looking for that movement. I have sat there and known they were stripers and hybrids and put a live bait on a balloon out behind the boat. So there's no boat, there's no anything to bother these fish. And it sat there for 45 minutes, an hour, just untouched. And the second I put the downriggers in and go back to trolling, it's fish on.
You know, there's something about moving what they think is food. I learned that years ago with crappie. I have a nephew, Billy Kilpatrick, that was a veteran crappie guide out at Lake Levon. You probably remember.
I met him. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah, Billy. He's retired now, but was a old school crappie guide. Now, we had a family outing up in about a 400-acre private lake up in East Texas, and full of crappie. And I got there, and before he did, and I had a little aluminum boat, you know, and some minnows, and I think I had 5 or 6 crappie, and this thing was loaded with crappie. I couldn't. I did 5 or 6 of them after fishing a couple of hours. Old Billy brought his boat down, and he said, "What are you doing, Uncle?" I said, "Well, not much, you know." He said, "Here's what we do." He said, "Jump in here," and he had a little bit bigger aluminum boat. We put minnows on and float, you know, corks. And he's just bumping that trolling motor. He said, "These crappie want this thing, these minnows just barely moving." And I'm telling you, we filled the basket up with them. Just because, So I guess stripers and hybrids are the same way. I guess they are. Yep.
It's what they call a reaction strike. And that's the same idea behind burning a slab up off the bottom. Mm-hmm. They don't have grocery stores. They don't have convenience stores. They don't have fast food joints. So if they see something that they can eat, they're gonna take the opportunity to eat because they don't want to know when they're going to get the next one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So so if they see a bait moving, especially if it looks like it's trying to get away from them, it's like a cat after a toy.
Yeah.
They're going to go after it because that's their natural instinct is to eat and to chase it down and eat it.
That's it. Well, back to the science, I guess you would say, of downrigging. You know, another way, which a trolling, you know, a hellbender with a pet spoon trailer. That's a trick that a lot of people can do, and it does catch fish, but only it's. I think you described that as what you do, the precision of a rifle, because you're putting that bullet or bait right where you want it on that bullseye.
Right, it is. And
then trolling, which does produce sand bass, and we both caught them like that, but it's not nearly as precise, is it? You know?
No, it's not, because hellbenders are not they're pretty notorious for not being consistent.
Right.
You know, you may have one that'll dive to 15 feet real easy, and one that just kind of wants to run all over the place at 12 to 14 feet. But with the massive size of the schools of sand bass, that's not a problem. You're going to catch fish.
Exactly. Yep.
There's not as many stripers and hybrids in the lake because they're stocked.
Right.
And so their schools are more scattered out. And when they do condense, they're condensed at a specific depth, especially this time of year. So you can put that bait right square where it needs to be. And you don't have to worry about the hellbender running all over the place or not running straight, or it's there.
Yep.
Because it's right in front of them. You
that
know what
ball,
it is.
yes.
One of the things I like about my hummingbird on my graph that I use is I can slow down and that ball will swing underneath my boat. And I know exactly, because it shows up as a thick line across the graph. I know exactly how deep that bait is, how deep that ball is.
Right.
And I can move it up or lower it down, knowing that where that school of fish is and how deep they are.
It's a deadly way to fish, Omar. I mean, after somebody has spent the time to learn the equipment and learn the process like you have. Down at Tawakoni right now, what's size or the hybrids? Of course, they're stocked, and I haven't fished for stripers there. I haven't caught a striper out of Tawakoni. Haven't fished for one, but there's still pretty good numbers of stripers, I guess. Pure stripers.
There are. We got a really good one the other day. We got one that's about 26 and a half inches. It's a nice fish, but the truth of it is that there are more hybrids in there than there are stripers.
For sure, yeah.
That you think about, the economy of producing these fish. You got a good sized sand bass male, and you got a striper female. You got hybrids. You got a bunch of them.
That's true. The size hybrids that I know. I caught back in 88. 13 and a half pound hybrid. I've got him mounted out of Tawakoni.
Oh yeah, you should. Anything that big.
But are you catching like 4 to 5 pounders pretty regular? Those size?
Yeah, real regular.
Oh, they're good eating. Hybrid.
They are.
A hybrid. That's one fish I love to blacken or bake. Catfish. It's hard to.
What we did?
Yeah. What'd you do?
Last year we took one and we smoked it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Debbie made fish dip out of it.
Oh, you told me about that.
It was so good. The kids were fighting over it.
I bet you.
It was good. Well, I had seen that, and I thought, man, I'm going to try that. And we did, and it was delicious.
Omar, I wish we had about 4 hours. Well, I'm going to get to go fishing with you here in a week or so. And,
yes,
folks,
sir.
I'm going to do a newspaper. My column runs in actually 48 different newspapers now. That you can actually pick up and read, and a whole bunch of online publications. But we're going to give me a lot of fun and a lot of fodder to write about. And we're going to film a show, A Sportsman's Life, about this. So you can watch that. I'll make sure and flag everybody so you can be watching for that show that
right.
Jeff Rice is going to do. We do have time for you to give your contact information. Omar, would you do that?
I sure would. My number is 817-937-8755. And you can email me at sales, SALES, at luck, LUCKO, theirish.net, and I'll get right back with you, and we'll get this trip set up or whatever you want to do. We do learning trips, so if you want to learn how do you do these downriggers, how to troll the hell pet, anything you want to learn, we'll be glad to teach you.
For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Airgun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to airgun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramyd Air. The website is PYRAMYD, PyramydAir.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember, pyramydair.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA Muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, CVA.com. Kuby's Wild Game Processing and Kuby's Restaurant in Dallas, and VINEYARDMAX, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders, located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, folks, I want to thank all of our guests today. We've had some interesting folks, like we always do, talking some very casual hunting and fishing and camping and outdoor talk. That's what we're all about, is what I like to call some down-home outdoor talk, and I think that's just what we've produced today. But I do want to thank all the great radio stations that choose to run this show. There's all kind of outdoor shows, as I've said many times, but thank you for running this one. You may be listening to a podcast. You know, each week after the radio stations run the show, the 4 segments of this show are combined into a podcast, and you may be listening to a podcast, and you probably think, oh, these old boys from Texas are kind of interesting. We are doing all kind of different stuff. But I appreciate all of you. I do, and especially the guys that with us today as guests. How about a recipe? I think I've got time to give you a recipe. Now, okay, we're talking game meat here. I bet a lot of you still have some venison in the freezer. Round steak maybe backstrap. What I'm going to tell you does not have to be backstrap, because it's going to be really fork tender when you get through cooking it. I just cooked some last week, and I made more than I really thought I was making, and I've had enough for about, we just finished it off here yesterday. But it's a smothered steak. Now, you can use pork backstrap from Wild Hogs. You could use pork ham meat sliced and trimmed, you know. But let's just say we're going to work with venison. I'm guessing most of you have venison. I have a big 14-inch cast iron skillet with a lid on it. It's a Lodge. I've had it for eons. I've had it everywhere. If that old skillet could talk, it could tell you some tales, folks. But that's what I used to cook it in. So here's what I did. Very simple, but it might help you. It might make you think and say, hey, I've got some venison. I need to put that to use. Don't let it freezer burn. Here's what to do with it. Put some cooking oil in that skillet. And I used round steak, venison round steak, that I had seasoned with salt, pepper, garlic. I had a little Cajun seasoning on it, and I had some Louisiana hot sauce in a Ziploc bag. Had that meat in the refrigerator for about 2 days. You don't have to do that, but I did. You could just season it up and cook it, but I like to marinate it for a day, at least overnight. Okay, so take that, get your oil, a little oil, not a whole lot, just a little oil in your skillet, and some flour, and push that meat down in the flour. Get that flour down into the meat, and then put it in your hot oil and brown it. Now, it'll probably be done, but it's probably not. It's surely not as tender as it's going to be, but till it's brown, take the meat out. Now, depending on how much oil is in there, there's probably just about the right amount of oil to make a good roux, which is nothing more than a gravy. So don't let the word roux trick you up. A lot of people, I used to think you had to stir roux for 30 minutes to make it. You don't. So, okay, you've got your oil in there, and you've got those little bits of flour and stuff in, you know, that's after you've cooked your steak or your pork, either one. So you've got those little bits of crunchy pieces in there with some oil. So put some flour in there. Cut your heat down pretty low, and I use a wooden spoon, and just I actually cut the end of a wooden spoon off so it would be flat, and just keep stirring that flour and oil for no more than 6 or 8 minutes till it gets the consistency you like. I want a dark roux. So I stir that in there, and then after it's about the color of a penny, maybe, about that color. You can have a lighter roux or a darker roux, but I want it pretty dark. I have a chopped onion up. I throw that in there and saute that, cook that down, that onion. So it's really an onion roux is what you've got at this point. Now, I will also add a little black pepper, maybe a little salt, maybe a little garlic powder to that. Okay, now it's time to take those pieces of steak that you've cooked and put them back in there, into that roux, into the gravy. Let's just call it a gravy. The roux does trick a lot of people up. Anyway, into your gravy, and then add a couple of cups of water, stir all that around, bring it up to where it's barely boiling, then cut it down real low, put that heavy cast iron lid on that skillet, cut it real low, and let it cook for about 20 minutes, and then take the lid off and stir from the bottom. For this, I use a metal spatula where I can really, if there's anything sticking, I want to scrape it up off the bottom. Turn it all around, stir it around good. You probably won't need to add any more water, but if you do, you can. And put the lid back on it. Of course, you got your meat in there cooking. Your meat's, been in there all along in that onion gravy. Let it cook about another 20 minutes maybe. Check it to make sure it's not sticking. And then at that point, that steak is going to be fork tender, I promise you, even if it's ham steak. I'm convinced you could use shoulder steak off of a deer, and at this point it would be tender. But it's going to cook some more. So there's a little bit more to this recipe. Okay, so you've got it all stirred up. It's not a thick gravy, but it's not real thin either. Put about, I'm going to say 3/4 of a cup of rice, white rice in there, and add about 1.5 cups of water, because, that rice is going to absorb that water. And then stir all that up together. Stir it up good, put your lid, and bring it up to a simmer to it where it's just beginning to, the bubbles pop, where it's just beginning to boil. Put your lid back on there, and that rice needs to cook 20 minutes. So after about 15 minutes or 12 minutes, do this. Pull the lid off, take that metal spatula and scrape that off the bottom. You don't want to scorch that rice, and that you'd have to be careful. This is the only critical point. After about that rice has been cooking about 12 minutes in that thick gravy, turn it from the bottom up and stir it around. It's okay to do that. The rice is still going to cook. Put your lid back on there and finish out about a 20-minute, 25-minute cooking of the rice. And then cut your fire off, leave the lid on it, and just let it set. And that rice will absorb all that good roux, that gravy. And you might want to put a little black pepper on it at the end, at the top of it, season it up and stir it all in, or a little salt. But put the final seasoning to your taste. And friends, I'm going to tell you what, at deer camp or home or wherever, that makes it, it'll make one huge meal for a lot of people. But it's so good. So hopefully that'll give you something to think about, and a good way to put that frozen venison to good use. You don't want to let that stuff freezer burn. It's too good. Folks, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining me. And do remember now, you can always contact me through catfishradio.org. That's the radio website that I have. You can go there, and there's a thing, email Luke. Fire me an email. You might want to be part of this show sometime. I welcome people to contact me. I promise you I'll get back with you, and then we'll have some fun on the radio together. Remember, next week we'll be right back here at the same time. Be safe and have fun. Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you had a good time, too. And, folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game. Lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring.